Welcome to the greatest sports show in the world. Good week, everybody. Hope everyone has had a good week. I'm going through a crazy time right now where I just don't have much room to do anything. And so that's why the recordings have been a little bit off. So this week, actually, after I do this little intro, I'm going to jump off and I'm going to let Nick and I'm going to let Jess handle it. But Nick and Jess, what's going on, guys?
What's up, Nikki? We miss you, buddy. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
No,
How's it going, Nick?
Yeah.
Both Nicks.
Yeah, no, it's going great. I mean, like I was telling you guys, this is just a kind of a weird time. Like my wife owns a dance competition, so I MC those and I do all the tech stuff for that. So I've been dealing with that stuff, and then we've also had three BLPA Bash tournaments in a row. So we were in Philly, and then we were in Columbus, and then we were in DC, which I just got back from, and they've all been absolutely great. There's actually another tournament going on this weekend in Pittsburgh, a draft. I won't be able to go to it because I'm at the dance competition. And then the next weekend we're in Cleveland, and then the next weekend we're in Iceland, and then the next week we're in Bellingham. So it's getting crazy, and it sucks. Like I really wanted to be in Columbus, but I was at my wife's competition. Usually she has always said, "Hey, I don't care what you do with hockey. I don't care where you go, as long as you're here for my two events." And I was always like, "Cool." Well, then her event this year, her big one in Calgary, got put on the same weekend as Columbus.
Oh,
And so,
of course it did.
Yeah, and that's our biggest one. And she was like, "Okay, listen, if you are here for the first 2 days, you can fly out Friday and go to Columbus and see the peoples." And so the weekend was supposed to be crazy. I was supposed to do that, fly out Friday at midnight. Well, I guess Saturday at midnight, get to Toronto at 5, drive to Columbus, be there by 1, and then turn around, drive back to Toronto on Sunday morning to fly back for my kid's tonsillectomy, which was last Monday. So another wrench. And so, but all the tech stuff hit the fan with her event. And so I couldn't just leave her stranded. So I had to stay and miss Columbus. And I was super bummed, but it seemed like everyone had a great time, even in my absence.
Because you weren't there. They were like, freedom.
Yeah, they're like, we don't have to live under the rule of this tyranny.
There's no such thing as a no cocaine bear policy this week.
Exactly. We can do all the coke we want. But I mean, Philly was awesome. I mean, it was our first time in Philly for a bash, and it was incredible. We had a bit of everything. It was Philly. I mean, those fans it went about the way you would think things would go in Philly. Like those guys just like to fight. I was basically like, I need to go grease the light poles and let you guys try to climb up those light poles? But they had a blast in Philly. Okay. Columbus was a blast. DC was incredible. And I got a lot of stuff to talk about when I get back and I can get into it. But I have that. But before we go, I'm going to do our sponsor. This show is brought to you by HockeyWolf.com. Ow, 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 ow. HockeyWolf.com, beer leaguers just like you and me, trying to make the game more affordable. They're trying to make it more affordable for old Nicky Boston there because he needs some new skates.
I need a new set of wheels. You know what I mean? Like I said, boys and girls, Nicky Boston is going to be making his on-ice return at a BLPA event sometime in July or August. I'm not sure which one yet.
Raleigh.
Make sure I make it public.
Raleigh.
Nicky Boston hasn't played in a game in over 5 years. So he's been on the ice coaching and that type of thing. But an actual game, Nicky Boston's going to make his triumphant return in a BLPA tournament. So I'm just looking. Maybe Raleigh could be. I think Raleigh's the front runner, but I just got to look at some more dates. But I'll announce that because I know it's going to be a big announcement. Because I know there's going to be a couple guys like Kyle Thornton that I think they're going to come after my chicklets. But we're in for a rude awakening there, boys.
Kyle. I mean, listen. Kyle talks a big game. Love Kyle. Love his chirps.
Oh I love it. Yeah. No, it's all in good fun. I'm excited.
But if you get a chance to take a run at him, though, by all means, So
there's a couple of guys. Yeah, there's going to be definitely some a lot of chirping. Maybe I was thinking maybe I'll get a small microphone or something, Nicky. You know what I mean?
I have one. I have one that we can put on and hook to a camera and do some.
Definitely get.
Please.
And getting some chirps there, you know what I mean? So it'll be good. I'm looking forward to it. And I'm going to figure this out here shortly. I've got a couple trips coming up recruiting wise, but after that, I'm going to be definitely a BLPA tourney looking for, and I'm pumped to do that.
Hell yeah. So, okay, well, just go check out HockeyWolf.com. Those are our sponsors. Okay, I'm gonna leave you with one tease before I hop off here. I'll leave my screen up I'll be back and forth, but I'll mute everything so you guys won't be able to hear me and whatever. But imagine going to a hockey tournament at a beach, and you stay at an all-inclusive resort, all the booze, all the food, and then you get to go play hockey in this sun-filled environment. It's coming. I'm on it right now. We're in a WhatsApp with the owners of a new facility in a different country, but a beach, big tourist destination. I think it's going to be wild when we announce it, and so I can't wait to announce that. So you guys can make guesses. Like, you guys just.
I might have to hold off for that one, Nikki Kamish.
Yeah,
well, you can do multiple ones.
Cancun, Cozumel. I'm like,
it's not gonna be till next year though. So you got to come to this one. But we're definitely working on it. But other than that, that's my tease. You guys have a fun. Does the country
already have ice rinks, or do they have to build it for you? Like China and the Olympic Games.
Well, they're not going to build it for us. I mean, they're building ice rinks, right? So, yeah. So, but anyway, that's that. You guys have a good episode. And since I won't be here to say it, be good or be good at it. You guys have fun. Talk to you next week. We'll be back. I'll be back. I'll have a bunch of stories. All right, guys. See you guys later. All right, bye.
Pardon me. I'm like,
that would be.
Hold on. Oh. Okay, I think I'm okay. Yay for allergy season, right?
Wow, I know. So that would be awesome, huh? I mean,
all-inclusive.
Yeah, but there's a place. I mean, I don't know why he's going to do it out of country, though. I mean, there's places down here in Florida that are beautiful, like Hammock Beach Resort and stuff like that, where there's a rink like 20 minutes away. I mean, that right on the beach. I mean, I'm in Melbourne. There's a ton of places around here. I'm 10 minutes from the beach. There's all sorts of good stuff. There's resorts. There's all sorts of cool stuff around here. I mean, I don't know, but that sounds like a pretty awesome trip here.
I guess it's the cost factor, because you can kind of go to like Mexico or pay half if that for like all the food and drink. That's where my best guess would be, is Mexico. And
I'm sure it's Mexico. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, unless he's going to really go overseas with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Who knows? Because Hawaii would be. He said it was out of the country. I don't know if Jamaica has ice rinks.
They do.
They just have a bobsledding team, right?
No, Jamaica does. They have a with the worlds and under 18s and stuff like that.
Oh, so I'm learning things today.
They do. They definitely have it. So that would be pretty awesome.
So that would be.
So
I think Jamaica seems to be. Granted, okay, so I grew up near Mexico. We would drive into Mexico and go to Puerto Penasco, aka Rocky Point. And it's not my favorite thing to drive through Mexico, but once you get to the site, like, you're okay. So that's just kind of always my perspective about traveling to Mexico. I'm like, well, I'm sure that whatever destination is fine. And same thing kind of like Jamaica, as long as you stay off the off-beaten path. So like an all-inclusive where you don't have to worry about
that's
driving to go get your food or your booze. Like,
that's where a couple of years ago, a company I was working for, you know, the top salespeople, whatever, they do a trip every year, and I was part of it. They took us to Cozumel, and it was all inclusive, and it was, you know, booze, and it was great but the thing is with Mexico, and this isn't a knock or nothing, you know, it's obviously there's not some great parts, right? I mean, you don't want to be stuck in Juarez, right? I mean, there's some parts there, but it's kind of like when you do those all-inclusive resorts, you just stay on the property. Like, you don't leave the property kind of thing, and you're kind of oblivious to what's going on the outside. So that's why I'm saying I don't know if it could be Mexico, though, because that means we would have to leave the resort, go to the rink, you know what I mean? Unless, you know, he all of a sudden finds a rink that's got an all-inclusive, you know, resort that's attached to the rink. There's an idea right there, because that would be pretty awesome.
That would be, if you could pull off, like, building a rink with an all-inclusive, like right next to an all-inclusive resort near the beach, and you not only do an ice rink, but you do like
that'd be the ultimate, that would be the ultimate,
like pickleball. Like you could have like a tournament
facility.
Yes, just like a tournament facility, maybe even some like softball fields, and you could really appeal to the masses, and you could just like book it out, and it's all warm all year round. That would be an ultimate destination.
But there are places like that. Like, you know, for instance, the team I coach, the Boston Junior Bruins, we play out of the New England Sports Complex.
Yeah.
It's got 8 sheets of ice. It's got a resort right across the street. I mean, it's the only thing that's not there is close to the beach,
Right.
So
But yeah, all
I
you
don't
can
know.
eat.
It still
All you
sounds
can
like it's
drink
going to be
next to
awesome.
the
You know what I
beach.
mean?
Yeah. Yeah. At least it's a year out from now, so it gets time to save up the money.
Exactly. And that's going to be the key, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah, I spent so much money on hockey. I joke, I'm like, it's a good thing I have a retirement account through work because otherwise I would spend all that money on travel for hockey for sure. Even Babe has to put me in check. He's like, okay, well, we could do this tournament and this tournament, or I'm like, we can do this. We're like, but like maybe we shouldn't like go into like severe credit card debt for hockey. We should probably be financially responsible adults. But,
Why are you upside down? Well, it's because of my beer league tournaments.
yeah, right. I'll just get a bunch of life insurance, and then when I die, my kids can pay it all off. And
yeah, or we can get some life insurance on your husband there, and you know what I mean. And I can call a couple guys from Boston and see what we can do there. Sorry, buddy.
Good idea.
I'm only kidding with the kid.
You got to get new ice skates, I hear.
Yeah, I got last year. I mean, I've always used Bauer, always since. I mean, I don't think I've ever had any others. I mean, I've gone through them all. All, and luckily, my dad being my dad, I always had the best stuff, right? I mean, I did. That was just the way he operates. If you're gonna do it with all the best stuff, right? So I played with Synergy sticks when they first came out. I had, always the best skates, the best gloves, that type of thing. And of course, it meant that I didn't get a lot of Christmas gifts, but that was okay.
Yeah.
I was
Christmas
okay with it because we weren't wealthy by all, but I mean, I'd rather have the gear than the Nintendo, right? So it worked out that way, but I think I'm going to make the move to True Skates.
Okay.
Everything that I've heard about them, I'm getting older. My knees aren't what they used to be. And, they got those skates now where they take them, right, Jess, and they form them to your foot. They take like all the stuff with your feet and they actually send you, I guess, like a mold now that you send back. Like it's like a gel mold. You stick your foot in the box. And you do the whole thing, and then you close it and you send it back, and they actually mold the inside of the skate, so it's the most comfortable. Which for something like that, I'll pay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If it means you don't have to go through the 10-game breaking in period, because that.
Well, no, but the thing is, too, I'm on my skates. Like once September hits, I'm on my skates 5 days a week from September to April. I mean, every day I'm on my skates for at least 2 to 3 hours every single day. That's what I do, right? And then I'm teaching lessons. I'm doing all that type of stuff as well. So it's, having something like that, it's worth it for me.
Yeah, I could see that. It's like if you're going to sit in an office chair all day, I'm going to spend the money to get like a nice ergonomic chair.
Yeah, or that your ass is going to go friggin' numb, right?
Like the people in California, I always wondered why when I was younger. Like in the LA area, why does everyone drive such nice cars? Like everyone's got a nice car. And it wasn't until I was a little older, I was like, oh, well, it's because they sit in traffic for 2 hours a day, like each direction, that they're going to buy a nice car. Because you're spending more time in your car awake than you are like whatever studio closet that you're going to live in. I was like, okay, I get it. Did you ever have any problems with the Bauer bumps? Because I have problems with the ankles.
I've never had. I mean, not to be gross here, but my feet are like, you know what I mean? Because I've been in skates for, I've been in skates. Jess, I've been in skates for 43. I started my first pair of skates when I was 2, so I've been, in a pair of skates since I was, for 40 years. You know what I mean? And a good part of my life has been every day with a pair of skates on, just about. So, my feet are arched up, you know what I mean? And they've all been
the shape of a hockey skate.
Yeah, they've all been broke. My toes have all been broken. My feet, you know what I mean? I look like I could hang upside down like a bat. You get what I'm saying here?
Yeah.
So that doesn't affect me. I've always loved them. I have. I don't know why. I've tried CCM. I don't like the took that it's not even a took. I don't like the took that they use on CCM. You know what a took is?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's we call it a took. Bauer used them. So you got the boot, right, and then you got the blade, but it's that plastic part that holds the blade.
Yeah.
That's a really big. That's a really big part, Jess.
Oh, I thought it
Especially
was called something else. I want to say rocker. I don't think rocker's
no.
right.
Some people call it a rock, but it's called the toque. You'll see
Okay.
it says TUUK on it. Most of them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's really just for Bowers, but that's why they got it. CCM uses, but CCM, they have it. It's a big part of your skating. It's a big part of your edges, because if it's loose, if the ruts are coming through, that type of thing, it can obviously affect your skating. And it's a big part. It's how your edges. I mean, obviously how you sharpen your skates are really important too. Do you
Oh my
get
gosh, tell me
half
about it.
inch, 3/8, you know what I mean? That type of thing. So with Bauer, they've always just been perfect for the way I skate. And it's once you get used, any good hockey player will tell you, once you use one skate and you get comfortable with it, you'll never change it. You'll see guys. I mean, I know some guys in the NHL, they changed to like Nike, right? Remember when Nike had the big thing? But yeah,
it was like Bauer Nike.
Yeah, but it said Nike on it. But here's where the thing is, right? Oh, yeah, they'll change it because they're now getting sponsored by a different company. It might say Nike, right? But it's the same exact skate that they've been wearing. This Nike made it that way, right? You're not getting those type of Nikes. You get what I'm saying?
I had a pair of those when I was first learning, right? I was going through a lot of used skates because that was kind of a good way to try out to see like what I like versus spending a bunch of money on a skate that I'm gonna end up hating. When I had like a pair of those Nike Bowers, they looked old school. I mean, they were like brown with like blue like accents on it. With those, I went to those and then a Vapor, I think, and I got the Bauer bump like really bad on both the inside of my ankles. And my boyfriend at the time, he'd been playing since he was like a kid like you. He's like, "Oh yeah, those are Bauer bumps," and he like shows me his feet. He's like, "Look at all these bumps that are all over my feet in these weird places." I'm like, okay, it's like funny that like your foot just kind of adapts. And I have the same kind of things from running. Like my toes have got like the callus basically is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, my feet, they look like, I mean, I have to shave them down. You know what I mean? Because I still get so bad dry skin. It's terrible. You know what I mean? But a lot of guys too, like, have you ever seen, they get bone spurs? You ever seen a bone spur? The guys in hockey get them really bad on the back of their heel. And really, really bad. I had a kid that a teammate of mine, he got, I mean, I'm talking a bone spur. I mean, it looked like just he had like a foot, and then so say this is the back of his foot. His bone spur looked like a ball sitting there, right?
Oh, you have to get that shaved down.
He shaved it. Ended up with a section. He was in the hospital for like, he almost killed him. He was in the hospital for like a month. He got blood infection, staph infection, because when he did it, he cut it. And then he just put his skates on and ended up with a staph infection. It was bad. It was really bad.
And, his parents were pissed about that. They're like, what are you thinking?
But guys get those bad too. You know what I mean? If you don't have the right skates. And having those skates are so important. Because once you get a good pair of skates, if you treat them right, and that's the thing is you got to treat them right. You got to take them out of your bag when you get home. You can't let them just sit there in all that sweat, and you got to get them out. You got to dry them out. You've got to make sure, you wipe them. That's important after, as long as you get all the big snow off. Sometimes it's good to take out the insides. I mean, if you take good care of your skates, they'll take good care of you, right? Your feet will be good. But if you don't, forget about it, guys. Your feet will be a mess. You'll look like Nikki Boston here. You'll be able to hang upside down and drink blood. You know what I mean?
So I think we need to start like an OnlyFans for hockey player feet and see what kind of money we can get. But like the best part is like, well, we'll have to get like pedicures. And not like pedicures, but like funny, like paint your toenails. So it's just like the most disgusting feet with like the cutest toenail job. Like,
come on. I hate feet in the worst in the first place, Jess. You're making me
queasy. Well, my feet have been much happier. I went to the CCM rib course, and those have been amazing for me. But I also found I forget exactly what they're called, but they're like this. It's specific for hockey skates. It's like this little piece of foam that you can tape to the top of the toes, sticky to the top of the toes of the boot, which I have small feet. Game changer for me. And I'm like,
Why
there's
do you
just
get
so much.
you get lace bite, Jess?
No, not at all.
No,
Nope.
okay.
It's
But
just a matter of my foot is small. And so I was losing that transfer of motion.
Oh, okay,
And
okay.
so it closes that gap in the toe box for me. And I absolutely my skate just feels like an absolute glove now. And I will never not get those in my skates.
Jess, have you ever tried waxes?
I have.
That didn't help?
It's just the top of my toes are just really, there's just not a lot of meat there. And so there was always like a gap, no matter how hard you tied it, but at the toes. Yeah. And I actually had a pair of some of my Hoka running shoes were kind of loose. I got like a size that was too big. I bought another pair of those like insert things, put them at the top of the toe box in my running shoe. Now they fit perfect too. And I'm like, this is like the best invention for small feet people. Oh yeah.
And they're comfortable. I mean, I've only seen them. Really?
Yes.
See, I never did that with skates. So do you use long cuff, Jess, or do you use short cuff gloves?
Short cuff.
You know how many inches?
No.
I use 10 inches. I love short cuff. I love short cuff gloves. I don't know how a guy used it, but with that being said, because I had good hands, that was my forte. I had good hands. I could stick handle. Anyways, but because of that, my wrists were always exposed, right? Mm-hmm. So I would get fucking whacked. I mean, guys would do whatever they could to get, over my wrist. So I started wearing wrist guards, and some of them were brutal. I mean, I'd come off, I'd have rashes, it'd be all red. I tried taping it, underneath it and stuff. Finally, I found Bauer ones that were great, and they did a great job. But they had like a padding underneath it, like you're talking about. Mm-hmm. It more, I don't know. It was just a lot more comfortable because it's not like sweat guards; they're wrist guards. They have like a plastic mold inside of it, right?
Now, if you're gonna go rollerblading and you got or roller skating, those like kind of wrist guards where it's that
but no, those are different.
Yeah, but similar like concept, right? Like there's protection in there.
Yeah, it's because of it, but all they look like sweat. Like when a guy, like in the old '80s, guys had people had the sweat guards. Yeah, it looks exactly like the same thing, but it's got a piece of plastic in it, so that guys could whack and whack and whack. I mean, it helped. It didn't do it didn't fix everything. It just
you're gonna still feel it.
Yeah. So I just had to skate away, but it definitely made things a lot better. But they had a padding in there because the plastic would cut my skin. It was just a nightmare.
Yeah, isn't it fun to find like those little pieces? It's like not standard hockey equipment that these companies come out with that meet like specific needs. You're like, that's perfect for me. Like, I feel like I need some Jills that have like inner thigh padding. The amount of people I've been hitting the inner thigh. I've had some gnarly bruises. We should do like a gnarly bruise thread on the BLPA page and just it hasn't been done in a while. But it's fun to look at those. But it's like, you find these places on your body that you're like, you're not gonna like get somebody to like build you a custom an elbow pad that like then comes down to your wrist. So no, it's like you find those like little pieces that are like, it just completes my gear.
They started even a big part of that was, was actually with fighters. Cause I mean, I don't know. Do the BLPA jerseys have fighting straps on them?
Mm-mm.
You know what a fighting strap is?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I can't
think that they do. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah. Like my jersey. This is my old college jersey. It's got the fighting strap right here. Well, they not used to have them, right? And then the cool thing is like big time fighters, like I've a couple of guys that we've had on here, like Gilly and stuff like that. They doctor those things up. They'll tie strings through it. They'll make it tighter on one side so you can't pull it here. And it's been a lifesaver. Those little extra things, Jess, is what I'm getting at. Like you're talking about, has made a difference, especially in the fighting world with hockey. Which is really an important fact. So you can't pull it over. It depends on how a guy likes to fight. They actually doctor those fighting straps, and then they started like companies started giving guys things that they could doctor them up themselves instead of having to use like a shoestring
awesome.
or like a skate lace or something like that.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Like shin pads. So I have a teammate who's like all about trying to like reduce, plastic waste in the world. I mean, she gets like the refillable shampoo bottles. She's all out. And one of the things she turned me on to was like instead of hockey tape for your shins to get like the Velcro straps. So, you got people who used to just use shoelaces instead. And I tried that, but they would slide down. But like the Velcro straps for me are like good enough. And now it's like a standard piece of my equipment. Also, like I end up just using hockey tape now, like around the house for, whatever you need to fix quickly. But that's like I don't have to worry about that anymore. I got the Velcro straps and they get worn out and I will sew them up to tighten them up or just get like a new pair. But like
Donna,
that to me has been just, it makes it so much easier to get ready too, because you don't have to worry about digging through your tape and
a lot of shin pads now, they have it like in the back. Like they'll have the Velcro, like you put them on, and then the back they have the Velcro that's in the back. Problem is though, they just don't stay tight enough. That's why guys still use tape. I tried the Velcro straps. I think it's more of a head thing with me. Like I have to be dressed a certain way. I have to tape a certain way. I have to have certain tape. I have to have this. It's definitely really prima donna-ish. You know what I mean?
I get it. Yeah.
It's definitely like with equipment, it's such a big deal. Equipment in hockey, which I'm sure it is like in football, but in baseball, with your glove and your cleats, football, but in hockey, because there's so much of it, right? There's so much equipment that it's such an important part of who you are, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
That it really, one little thing is off, your whole, not just physically does it feel weird, mentally you're all fucked up. I mean, especially head cases like me. One little thing goes wrong at the wrong time, I'm a mess, and I've got to figure out how to get back out of that. And that would happen in games. My game sometimes,
Really?
My game would go to shit because all I could think about was, well, my game's going to shit because I didn't tape my stick at exactly the time I like to tape it at.
Of course.
But that's just because, like most hockey players, I'm a basket case. But I
feel like you'd be a good goalie too.
Your equipment is such a big part, Jess. It's such a big part of being a player.
I'm very picky about, it's like my skates, like you said. Once you find like a pair, you're like, you would have to like probably build me a custom skate to get me out of my skates now. One other piece that like I absolutely will not live without now are suspenders. When I started losing a lot of weight, I was like, oh, like I've gained weight back and forth. I'm like most people. And I'm like, I don't want to buy like a new pair of shorts. So I just got like a pair of suspenders because they'd fall down as I go. Oh my God. I love my suspenders.
Yeah.
They just keep your pants up and you don't have to think about it. Cause I would always be skating around, just like hiking up my pants. And now it's just like completely out of mine. Now it sucks. I have to go pee in the middle of the game because I have to like take out the jersey, take out the suspenders because I'm a chick, I can't just, pull, but like game changer. Like, so I'd be curious once this goes live, if people will comment. It's like, what is like the one?
I hate them. I absolutely hate them, Jess.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I hate them. I think I used to wear like really not big. Like when I was a kid, my father bought me. I hated big shoulder pads. So like even when I played pro, I used like the old school like Might CCM like shoulder pads that had like no padding in them, and you wonder why I had seven shoulder surgeries. But anyway,
no correlation there.
Yeah, but I would throw this, like I tried the suspenders and it just, with the pads, it just felt really uncomfortable. So what I used to do is I used to not, if my pants weren't tight enough, because each team, they gave you pants and stuff. I just use a skate lace. I would tie a skate lace like 3-4 times around. I'd get like the 180s or the really long ones or the 120s, you know what I mean? And I would just tie that around. But again, I'd have to fuck with it every once in a while, throughout the game or in between periods, right? It didn't have like what you're saying, but I couldn't deal with the suspenders. So again, it's all about what you like and what you don't
Yeah, it's
like.
what's comfortable for you. Yeah. The first, like, it took me a bit to kind of get used to, like, okay, how tight do I need them to be? And if they get loose, I'm like, oh, like, that's kind of uncomfortable. I just always forget to put the damn things on before I put my jersey on. So if you sit next to me in the locker room, as soon as I put my pants on, I'll go, don't forget your suspenders, don't forget your suspenders. And I say it out loud to myself as I put my shoulders on, and I try to remember, don't forget. And then, of course, I'll go put my jersey on, and I'm just like, son of a bitch. I have been so
If you
lazy.
ever
I have
came
gone
out-
back out. Huh?
I'm just telling you, when I play, and I'm whatever, and you come out with your suspenders either over your jersey or hanging down, you are getting so chirped the whole game. It's going to be out of control.
I have 1000% done that. I forget which tournament it was specifically where I was like, oh, I'm going to do the like one up and one down. Like it's like an overall situation. But I
You are
fixed it like
getting
between the
chirped.
first and the second. But I was just laughing. I was like, I am so unmotivated right now to like fix this. So I was just busting out laughing. I was like, I look like the biggest dork. And I love like the fun things in life like that. Like at the end of the day, it's making me laugh. Like if that's just fun, good times. But yes, I forget them all the time and I get so
you're
mad at
getting
myself.
chirped. And now that I know that you're wearing suspenders, you're definitely getting chirped.
Perfect. I love when people try to control the pants down. I'm like, they're hooked.
That's awesome.
Another piece of equipment. You may not understand this. Women chest pads.
They make those?
Yes, finally. I think I got my first pair a couple of years ago, and there's 2 companies that make it. And I want to say it's a Bauer. I'd have to rip it out of my bag, which is sitting next to me here. Oh my gosh. Yes, because with the guys' pads, like right, like I have a chest, and so the padding would like sit out like this. So as my jersey, it's like there's a shelf and it's like overhanging, but with the women's, it's curved. It's curved and then it's got the straps underneath. So like
Is it connected to shoulder pads or is it something you put on?
Yeah, they're shoulder pads.
Wow, they're women's shoulder pads.
Yes, I'm gonna make some noise right here. Let's see what company this is. I wonder if I can show you. Oh, it's CCM. I'm over here bitching.
That's all right. I'd be interested. Yeah, I mean, so is it like a?
Let me see here.
It's like curved. Oh yeah, wow.
So I know everyone's like, oh, it's just the way you're holding it. Like, no, it's actually like curved.
So it doesn't put that pressure on there. That's gonna make things a lot more comfortable. I always thought that. You know what I mean? I mean that's gonna be uncomfortable. That's gonna be an uncomfortable part. 'Cause I know shoulder pads can get especially tight underneath here and stuff. And you know what I mean? Especially if someone's bigger chested, that's gotta hurt. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just uncomfortable. It's probably the sports bras suck to begin with. So like we're already uncomfortable there. But it's like it straps underneath basically where underneath the boob versus like the guys' pads are just kind of
just hook on.
Just hook on, yeah. And
they're fucking Velcro.
It's a straight out ledge. I'm like, I just look so dumb. So I got these for Christmas one year. I brought them to like my First Lady Canes tournament, and I was like, oh my gosh, guys! I was like, try on this chest protector. It is amazing. Or these shoulder pads, and like they passed it around the whole locker room. I don't know how many of my teammates now own them. We probably I think we definitely. I'm not trying to promote CCM or anything, but it's a game changer for women, and they need like helmets with like the ponytail cutouts. I think the Olympians had it this last.
Yep.
And I'm like, I need that helmet because it's just uncomfortable having like that ponytail like lower, and it kind of messes with your helmet if you move.
Yeah, because you can't I mean, I know guys that have their long hair hanging out and shit like that, but that's only like 1 in 50 guys you'll see that has that. And we always, he's an asshole while he's out there, right? So I can't imagine for a woman that has to be a lot more difficult, right? To have it, you know what I mean, hanging out because just getting grabbed or if you just let it flow like that, that's got to be difficult.
Yeah, I had a teammate who has really long hair, or a friend of mine. At some point when she was younger, she was on the ice and somebody skated over her hair and sliced it off. So after I heard those stories, I'm like, it stays in a bun, less, chances of somebody skating over it and cutting it. But when you move your helmet, you kind of end up knocking out your ponytail holder, like it moves it around. So it'd be like really nice to have like that cutout in the helmet. So like you could move your head back and forth and up and down and not have to be like worry about retying your hair every few minutes.
I never thought of that, like that big of a deal, right? I mean, I guess I could, but then I think like if you have a ponytail, like my girl, when she has a ponytail, like if she's laying down or something, I mean, it's squishing your head, right? I mean, that's gotta hurt, right? I mean, yeah, that wouldn't be.
Yeah, ponytails, once you have them, like when I fly, I have my bun at the top of my head because of the headrest, right? So in order to be able to like lay back with like now I just messed up my hair, which is just messy anyways. Like the neck pillow, like it gets messed. Yeah. So it's if you think about it, like we're always messing with our hair. So just be one less thing to have to worry about in a game. Because even like I do the bandana and to that knot as well underneath the ponytail, like it would just be nice to have that little slot in the helmet so I can move around just a little easier.
That's got to be good, though. Hey, totally change the subject here. What about? I mean, I wish we had Ficus Kev back here, and because it's
yes,
with Connor Bedard going to the Chicago Blackhawks.
Yes,
I mean, it's not 100%, right? I mean, the draft hasn't happened yet, but I mean, I can't see them not going after Bedard. I mean, they just lost Patrick Kane. More than likely, they're going to lose Taze. You know what I mean? A lot of people are saying it's rigged, right? Because I mean, obviously, you got your conspiracy theorists, which I'm sure guys comment underneath, right? That if you think the NHL rigged this all just so that Chicago could get him an original 16, but I don't know. I don't know if Taze and Kane was still there, then I think it would be exciting, right? That would be awesome to watch. Imagine Connor Bedard and Patrick on the same line. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, with like Pittsburgh being on there, like him playing with Sid and I'm gonna blank just because the pressure is on right now. Malkin, like I know that they're like older vets. Now they're considered like vets in the league.
Yeah.
To play with such a youngin like that, I'm like that would have been fun to see.
Well, even Washington.
But even with Washington with Ovi,
Bedard and Ovechkin together. I mean, now that Ovi's getting older. I mean, he's my age. You know what I mean? As long as he's a little younger than I am. But I'm just saying, at that age and stuff like that, and having that guidance and having a guy like Bedard, and that's what I think is going to be a problem. If Taze leaves and Bedard doesn't have that support system. Right? Like, remember when Sidney Crosby came into the league, right? He came into the league. Mario Lemieux came back. His first year, Crosby played with Mario Lemieux, and he came back for that reason. Connor McDavid, is a little bit different, but he had some guys there, that weren't great, all-stars, but he had older guys.
Yeah.
Chicago doesn't have that. They don't. And I don't know. They're going to have to, if they go after Bedard and they get him, they're going to have to make some moves before then.
Yeah, I think so too.
A vet that's a leader that's going to be able to kind of go, hey, this is how you work. This is how you eat. Because that's a big part of it. It's not so much on the ice that you got to worry about, Jess, when you get to that level and stuff. It's the off ice.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like the pottying and stuff. I'm saying your nutrition, when you sleep, your things, a lot of things come into play that can be very, very overwhelming. And if you don't do that, you're going to end up like an Alexander Daigle. You know what I mean? Which was first overall pick, and he was a bust.
Yeah. So
I still think it's exciting.
It is. And maybe I just don't quite understand. So they showed us like the list of the teams at the beginning and like the odds. And then it seemed like when they drafted or did the lottery, everything fell into the same exact order that they originally showed, except for the top three. So that kind of confused me, but I'm guessing it was just because of the odds. I was kind of confused about that.
Yeah. So
Like,
what the lottery does is basically so there's X amount of teams that did poorly throughout the season,
mhm,
right? That didn't have great seasons, usually don't make the playoffs. That didn't make the playoffs were, some of the worst teams. So each, depending on their ranking, right, from the season before, they get X amount of balls.
like entries, balls,
Yeah, entries, right? So that's where the odds come from. So usually the top three, the guys that get 1, 2, 3, right, were teams that had terrible seasons,
Mhm,
right? So to try to up them and boost them up, right, with some young
okay,
talent. But that doesn't always mean that that's what happens, right? And I think that's the case with Chicago.
yeah,
So, they obviously losing Kane. Tays is miserable.
mhm.
They need a revamp. But a lot of people are saying because it's an original 6 team and it's Chicago that
They're gonna
they're
put the money. Yeah, they're trying to
put
get
the
the money
money
back.
instead of,
Yeah,
instead of going to Anaheim or
right.
which they thought that's where they really thought he was going to go, was Anaheim.
But like, who's over in Anaheim? And I mean, there is a hockey market there, but it's not the same market that Chicago can be.
No, but Anaheim has had in the past, though. Remember when they had Paul
Yeah, they did.
Kariya, Timu
Mhm.
Solani? They won a cup. I mean, and I get that. I guess I think it's almost like they were thinking like when Wayne Gretzky went to the LA Kings,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
LA Kings have been around. People forget the LA Kings were around for a long time before Gretzky got there, but
Mhm.
it was a terrible market, right? It was a terrible market, and that's another conspiracy theory that the NHL did all this so that they could
Yeah.
get that market built up. And then once
Mhm.
once Gretzky went there, forget about it. I mean, they had Jack Nicholson in the fucking stands. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's not. It could be a great thing, but Chicago's already a hockey city. People are
Right.
going to go watch the Hawks.
Right.
They just like a Bruins fan. I'm gonna. They could stink, and
Mhm.
I'm still gonna be a Bruins fan, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know why they did that. Where a place like Anaheim maybe needs a little bit of a jolt, but I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting. The draft is going to be interesting
I
because
think so.
I mean, look what happened this past year with Shane Wright. Everybody said Shane Wright was going to be the number 1 overall pick. The kid dropped down to, I think 4th or 3rd.
Somewhere, yeah.
You know what I mean? A 3rd pick, and that can change things. So you never know.
Mhm.
You never know what these teams are thinking either.
Yeah. It's kind of like the draft at the Dexes. We've had some people submit as ringers that you get out there, they're on your team, and you're like, really? We wasted our ringer pick for you.
How
So
does
it's the
that
same
work?
thing.
How do those Dex draft works, Jess? Like, how
Well,
does Nicky set them up?
so you submit like your rating, like where you think he gives you like it's kind of like USA hockey standards of like 5 is like your average C League player. Like 1 is like you just stepped on the ice yesterday. 10 is like you're a pro. So you give yourself a rating that's in there. And so I'm assuming it's the guys that are kind of between like 8 and 10 as their ratings gets to be put in the ringer round. So what Nick does is he tries first, if he knows you and you're like, oh, I'm a 2, and he's like, you're not a 2, bro. Like you're a 6. He'll move you as a 6. But he tries to put the same ranking people on the same draft line. So like when the teams go to draft, you're picking all of like the same similar caliber together. So there's what he calls like a ring around, which is the top rated players, the top 4 people. And so when you go to pick, you're also supposed to be picking like a ringer. But yeah, I've definitely come out to the tournaments and I've had a couple of times where ringers on the team and you're like, really? You put yourself down that high? Like you might have been really good 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I
But
wouldn't like if I went, just to be fair, I'd probably do like a 5, just because I haven't played in forever. You know what I mean?
yeah,
But in
yeah,
beer league,
absolutely.
guys love being that ringer.
Right. So it's the same thing. Like if the guy's gonna, you never know where somebody's gonna end up. You know, you've got Bedard who's really good, but you still haven't seen him play in the
No,
pros.
it's a different
It's always
ball
fascinating.
game. I mean, you've had guys. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think he's a generational talent. I mean, I do. I mean, there's certain things that stand out that you can't teach that he has. The way he shoots the puck is. I mean, there's not even NHL guys that shoot the puck like he does. Okay, and that's the truth, right? And he's got a low center of gravity. He skates well. He's not overly fast. I mean, he's fast, but he's not like blazing speed. But he's got all that. But the biggest piece, Jess, when you have a kid like this, is all here, and all things point towards him being a very mentally strong kid, mature, good guy, the whole thing. But if you don't have what kills guys that get up, that are big players like that they mentally just fall apart. And that's where having that older guy, like Crosby lived with Lemieux. He did. He didn't live in an apartment here. He lived at his house with his wife and kids. I mean, that's an important part to get to get in there. I mean, I hope, knock on wood, I hope this kid does everything that we anticipate him to be.
Me too.
I hope
fun to watch.
Yeah, I hope he's just like McDavid, who I absolutely is fun to watch. I hope it's everything there is, and it's going to be exciting.
Yeah,
all right.
I agree.
Well, I got to get going here, baby doll. It was awesome again.
Grandpa.
We screwed the pooch. I fucked up something. We actually did, guys, a session last week, but for some odd reason, Nikki Boston fucked it up somehow, and it's somewhere lost. According to Nikki Commission, lost in the cloud or some bullshit, which I have no idea.
It's under some random person's account, and they're like, I didn't have to.
Yeah. But guys, thanks again for listening. Jess, as usual, it was awesome hanging out with you. I love talking to you, sweetheart.
Yeah, good to see you. Good to hang out with you too, Nick.
Yeah, and Nikki Commish, I hope you'll be back here, shortly. Oh, there you are.
I'm back right now.
We'll see you later, buddy. And Jess, I love you, kiddo.
Thanks. Love you guys.
Bye.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week.